Now this can fly around docile if you want, but sometimes we also like to show you what they can do when you get your skills up. Welcome back to Motion RC. Today we have another one of our EPP Skynetic profile airplanes for you. This is the Swift. This is a great airplane to play in the backyard, something to take out and practice your 3D with. So today we're going to be going over the assembly of this airplane. So let's get down on the bench, get you some tech specs, let's get it all out and take a look at what comes in the box. Tech specs for the Skynetic Swift. It has a wingspan of 1,120 millimeters, a length of 1,180 millimeters. The motor is an Admiral AS 2814 1000 kV brushless motor. The propeller is an 11 by 4.7. It has an Admiral 40 amp brushless ESC with an XT60 connector. It has 4 17 gram standard servos. And the foam is durable EPP. Your recommended battery for this airplane is a 3-cell, 11.1 volt, 1300 milliamp LiPo battery. Alright, first step in our process is to go on and dry fit this center section support and our motor mount into the front of the airplane. We also need to do all of our carbon spars at this time to make sure they're going to fit in dryly before we start gluing. Take your time on this part and make sure it all fits. The longer of the 2 spars goes at the top, the shorter of the 2 spars goes at the bottom. There are 4 spars in total on this kit for the fuselage, and let's go on and dry fit them all. Now that you've done dry fitting, go on and start gluing. I like to do it a little bit at a time. Start at the back, then work my way forward. Do this for all 4 spars on the airplane. Take your time, make sure these are all seated good. Alright, now that you've got your spars on your fuselage done, it's on to the wing. We're going to push these little spars in down from the bottom and the top, and then we're going to take some thin CA and work them into the cracks. Now that we have our spars in, we're going to make the provision for our servos. Take an X-Acto knife and a ruler and score a line down from the servo pocket to the center. I then like to take a screwdriver and pass that through the opening we just made to open it up a little bit easier. Take your servo, push it in, and then take that wire and push it into the hole we just made with that X-Acto knife. Now if we take a screwdriver and run it over the top of that, we might be able to push that wire the rest of the way into the foam where you hardly see any of it. A couple drops of glue, and then we can glue our servo mount down to the wing also. Now that that's all set up, let's go on and put our screws in. Now remember, we're not going to put the linkages on yet because we've got to be able to pass this through the fuselage. So go on and screw the servos down, but stop at this point. You can put both servos in, just no linkages, so we can do this. Now, once you get to the middle, you may have to pull up on the fuselage to get it to go over, or cut a little bit bigger notch in. But once you get it on there, just slide it all the rest of the way down to the middle. Do not glue the wing to the fuselage at this point though. Alright, let's go on and get those control rods and linkages built. It's as simple as taking the locking nut and threading it on. Center hole is where it goes. Okay, let's put our control rod in. Goes on the second hole from the outside. You'll see that it's actually a little bit bigger. Then we can slide our horn on. Figure out exactly where we want it. Take our X-Acto knife and cut our channel for this to go into. Take a little bit of thin CA now and affix that to the wing. Now that we've got that all in, we can put our last screw into the top of the servo. Do the same for the other side of the wing. Now we got to get our elevator put together. It's as simple as fitting the carbon spar in. Notice that it does go across this gap in the middle. This is what holds one side of the elevator to the other. All right, let's get the other spar in. Simple as sliding it in and then taking our Benchcraft CA and putting that down in the cracks. All right, now we can slide everything together and get a test fit. At this time, we're dry fitting until we know everything is lined up the way it should. And I'm going to show you a quick little trick on how to check this. Take you a piece of string, hold it out to a fixed point that is on both control surfaces. So we've got the tip of the aileron here and the tip of the elevator. Now I know if I measure the other side from the same length to the same point, it should be exactly the same. This will mean we have a square airplane when we do this. Remember, an airplane will fly if it's not straight, but it doesn't look right. So take your time on this, make sure it's lined up, make sure everything is gapped right. All right, now that we know everything's straight, we can take and put some glue on the wing and on the elevator. All right, next step is to get our rudder put together. It's as simple as taking the two carbon spars, sliding them in, and then taking our Benchcraft CA and presto, drop it down in there. Let this dry up and then we'll be ready to put it on the fuselage. Alright, now that we've got that rudder all dried up, we're going to make sure we mount it right in the middle, and make sure you take your time with this part to not get the rudder crooked or the airplane will fly incorrectly. Take your time on this, a little bit of thin CA and affix it to the airplane. Now we need to do our servo pockets for the tail servos. We're going to be doing the elevator and the rudder the same way. Take a long straight edge if you have it and cut you a channel all the way up to the receiver pocket on the airplane. Now take that servo on each side and work those leads down into the channels you've made and run it up to the front of the airplane. Alright, take you some thin CA and affix the servo mounts and the wire. Something I did notice is my elevator control horn would not fit over the carbon spar. I had to take and put a notch in it in order to get it to go around this carbon spar. Take and make a mark where we know where to cut it. Take our Benchcraft X-Acto knife, make some cuts in the foam, and push it on home. A little bit of thin CA around the horn, and do the same for the rudder. Alright, now we got to get our motor put together. The motor mount only goes one direction, so if the holes are not lining up at first, go on and just flip that a little bit. 4 screws holds it into the motor. I used a little bit of blue thread locker on mine. Gets the motor assembled. Now, to get your motor installed on the airplane, it takes 4 blind nuts. They simply just push into the back of the motor mount plate, and then you're going to take this 2mm screws that come with it and pull those in. There are 4 of these screws. Next, we need to install our ESC. It's going to simply slide in, but what you'll find is it's a little bit bigger than the provision in the foam. I took my X-Acto knife and just cut it just a little bit more, about 1/4 of an inch. Take your time on this, just cut you a nice opening here, about 1/4 of an inch bigger, and now it will pressure fit in there and not have to fall out with any kind of, you don't need a zip tie or anything to hold this in, just the pressure was going to hold that. Now take your 3 motor leads and plug them in. Remember, if your motor spins the wrong direction, it's as simple as just switching any 2 of these leads out. Let's get the battery tray installed now. Go on and put the Skynetic battery strap on it. Put it into the hole and take some thin CA to affix it onto the airplane. Next, we got to put our landing gear mount together. Boop! and then get that installed on the airplane. Push it in, and a couple of quick drops around the outside to hold it into the airplane. Now we get our landing gear put together. It's slide the wheels on, put the two collets on, and tighten them up. Sure bam! Alright, simple as pushing them in and then taking the little square pieces of wood that come with it and gluing those over it to hold them down. I chose not to do this because I like to fly mine without the landing gear. Now we need to pick which one of the 4 prop adapters fits our shaft. Then push it into the back of the propeller. Put our propeller on. Remember the letters that say 11 by 4.7 always face forward. Then we take our little washer and then the prop nut. Then find any kind of small tool that you can fit into the end of this hole to tighten it up with. So there you have it, the Swift 3D EPP Skynetic foamy plane. This is going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to get this one out to the field. I hope you have been enjoying all these foamies that we've been doing lately. If it's land, sea, or air, we have something for everyone here at Motion RC. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube. Like us over on Facebook. We have a wonderful customer community of all kinds of our customers customizing and pimping out all our sweet airplanes. We hope you check it out, and we will see you in the next episode here at Motion RC. Bye.